this day I take a vow, and on this day, God, show me how. Lord, I know that I've been resisting you, still your light keeps shining through. God, I pray this simple prayer, you know that I need you here. So on this day, I take a simple stand, and on this day, God, take my hand, and on this day, oh, I need you, Lord, and on this day, I feel your joy. Lord, I know that I've been resisting you, still your light keeps shining through. God, I pray this simple prayer, you know that I need you here. So on this day, I take a simple stand, and on this day, God, take my hand, and on this day, oh, I need you, Lord, and on this day, I feel your joy. I need you, God. I need you. On this Thank you.
Higgins, so good to see you, buddy.
Good to see you.
We've been traveling around together. Not together, but we were was it 3 weeks, 4 weeks ago? We were in both of us were in Carlsbad together.
That is a fact.
I know, and what a fabulous way to start the morning with just listening to your dulcet tones. It's just wonderful to have you here.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Likewise, thank you. And so, good morning, everybody else. Everybody else. I know you guys. So I want to do a caveat this morning. So we were on holiday last week in Mendocino County, which was just so beautiful. It was like being with the tribe. It was just amazingly good. But got in really late Friday night, and then immediately got up early Saturday morning because we're having a deck built. So I'm a little blurry, but I'm good. I'm here. I'm present. I'm excited to share with you and all that other kind of good stuff. So one of the things that did happen while we were on holiday was the season finale of Rings of Power, my new religion. And so, of course, Saturday morning I watched it. And is anybody following Rings of Power? Yes, of course you are, Jeff. Anybody else? Nobody else is doing it? So I'm going to talk a little bit about it. No spoilers. I'm not going to give any spoilers. But there's this wonderful line in there that I just kind of want to ponder with everybody here. And there's there's a group of people, or not people, but there's a group of beings, people, characters called the Harfoots, which are the beginnings of the hobbits. Thank you very much. I know hobbits, and they're just a delight. But they are wanderers. They're kind of wandering around, and they have a song that they sing, and it's their philosophy. And it is this. I won't sing it, but the line of it is, "Nobody walks alone. Nobody's left behind." Don't you love that? Nobody walks alone. Nobody's left behind. And I just think, that's, here we are walking on this planet and doing the things that we do. And in order for all of us to have that experience of what it means to be fully human, it's to do this. Nobody walks alone. Nobody's left behind. I'm going to talk a little bit about that more. But part of that is how we come together as a community. Oh, cool, he's got the big tree. One of the things that I just kind of want to share with everybody is, for those who don't know, last week Vicky Alves passed from this earth. She and wonderfully, as I heard from Frank, she died very peacefully, and she was listening to Spirit Hill, which I just think is just amazing. So there will be a memorial for her. We don't know when that will be yet, but I'll keep you posted on that. But I just wanted you guys to know that has happened. So we really want to hold Frank in our thoughts and our prayers. Nobody walks alone. No one's left behind. And so we travel with Frank. We bless him. We just honor Vicky on her journey as she continues to spiral up into this experience of life. As she moves from one place to another, we're just grateful that she is with us in our hearts. We are grateful for the joy that she has brought each and every one of us, and who she is in this community, and we just spread that love. So I just wanted to share all that. Let's see, what else is there to know? Yes, so this coming Tuesday, we're starting a membership class, which is really an opportunity to experience three things. One is, what is this thing that we call New Thought? Who are we as an organization, as a group? Who do we belong to? What are we all about? What are the tenets of New Thought? Who are we as a spiritual community, and how we fit into this greater thing called Centers for Spiritual Living? And then who am I as a minister of a place called Hilltop Center for Spiritual Living? So, because it becomes more and more distinct the further down the food chain you run. So that's happening. There is no cost. It's from 6:30 to 8:30. It's on Zoom. It's 2 Tuesdays, but you must sign up either online or today in the sign-up sheet, because we need your email so we can send you the Zoom link, which will go out on Tuesday, and that will be for the two classes. So it's important that you, if you want to take the class, that you sign up. And if you're already a member and you just kind of want to hang out and meet some people and experience this and ask questions and all that, join in. If you are new, please join in. If you're thinking about it, there's not any kind of requirement or no heavy sale or anything like that on the whole thing. So that's all happening this week. Starts on Tuesday. Like I said, you can go to the website, and the link is there, or you can sign up on the sign-up sheet here, and we'll do them there. So that's that. And so Laura is looking like a movie star today. She's looking very elegant. And my no-out policy is I will let her explain, or not, why she is looking so glamorous and enchanting and mysterious this morning.
Oh. Wow, what an intro. Good morning, I'm Reverend Laura DiDonato, your practitioner of today. And right now, if there's anybody new here, you're welcome. Let's turn to the people next to us and wish them a good morning. That's like music to my ears. It's love shooting all over the room. Wow. All right, let's put both our feet on the ground and take a nice deep breath. Inhale, all that is good. Exhale, everything you don't need anymore. One more deep breath. I recognize our spiritual Father, Mother, absolute divine power behind all things. We are all one heart, one mind, one consciousness. The universe is that beautiful divine essence of love, light, life, peace, power, beauty, and joy. The universe is that perfect free will and highest good, awaiting our choice, our acceptance, our permission to create and choose health, harmony, and abundance. We are given everything we need on this earth: air, water, food, nature, our loving animals, our loving people. And with this, we claim the highest good for ourselves and the highest good for the Hilltop Center. And with love, I am so grateful for this beautiful morning, this beautiful, beautiful morning, full of love. As I release to the law of divine absolute mind. And together we say, and so it is. All right. As practitioners, we are always looking for quotes and affirmations for ourselves and for everyone else that we encounter. And I found through the veil, in the whispers through the heavens, in soft winds through the trees, in particles of sunlight, in rising of the seas, in stillness and the silence, where love and beauty teach. Listen, child, oh listen, the soul of life, it speaks. And now we're going to go into a 3-minute contemplation. So we're going to do 3 deep breaths. Inhaling, God is. Exhaling, I am. Here we go. God is. I am. God is. I am. God is. I am. coming back to the present moment. Together we say, and so it is.
Was that your smile? Oh, was it sunlight through the trees? Was that your sigh? Oh, just a gentle breeze. Was that your voice? Or was it waves upon the sea? Is this a dream? Or can it be that I'm seeing for the very first time? The rustling leaves that bring your laughter all around, the dancing wind, feet barely touching down. Oh, was that a sound, or was it nature's melody? Is this a dream, or can it be that I'm seeing for the very first time? Yes, time is on our side, and the seed planted in love will grow. We're each a part of everything and everyone. Was that my heart? Oh, was it thunder with this rain? Was that a spark? Did you touch me once again? Was that my eyes? Or are you looking back at me? Is this a miracle? Can it be true that it's possible to make one a heart of two? It's not a dream. I do believe that I'm seeing for the very first. I'm seeing for the very first. Seeing for the very first time. The very first time. I'm seeing for the very first time.
Thank you. So beautiful. Thank you. So no one walks alone, and no one's left behind. You know, I've just been kind of, it's been kind of a mantra for me this whole week, because we did a lot of walking up where we were, and I just thought about that, and there's something about the human experience and the stories that we tell that so much of who we see ourselves as are a people on a journey. Now, this week is part of what's known as the High Holy Days, which is the time that Jews kind of tell the story of who they are and sort of the beginnings of things. And it's the new year, it's the Day of Atonement. And, and so much of those stories are centered around the fact that these were a Bedouin group of people who wandered. But there's that beautiful line, again, I'm quoting Tolkien a lot today, I think. Well, no, this will be my only, well, maybe who knows what I'm going to be quoting today. But Tolkien, he has that great line in The Fellowship of the Ring that tells the story of not all who wander are lost. Not all who wander are lost. That in many cases, many of us are wandering through because we have something to do, something to see, something to create, something to be, someone to be with. And that invites us to leave what is familiar and to go into the unfamiliar. In fact, when one, in the Hebrew Bible, the story of the founder of Judaism, not Judaism itself, but of the people of Israel, was Abraham. And Abraham had a very, as we understand it, a very safe, comfortable life with his family and an established business and everything that was there. And all of a sudden, he is invited to leave that and to see something else, to become something else, to leave the land of his own identity or his past identity to embrace something else. And how many of us, in so many ways, face that, at some level in I would imagine everybody's life here. We have been invited to leave the familiar and to explore the unfamiliar. In many ways, the whole definition of faith is risk with a direction. That we are sort of invited to expand ourselves, but the only way we can expand ourselves is to expand ourselves beyond what we perceive, what is comfortable, what is known. And to move into areas where we are unknown, unseen, and chart this way. And then there's that beautiful line, right? No one walks alone. No one's left behind. And I thought two things about that. One is, no one walks alone. That's this week was also the feast of Saint Francis, who was one of my favorite saints. And although he was never really what one considered a deep theologian like Thomas Aquinas or Teilhard or Augustine or anything like that, he was probably one of the most profound because he basically was a pantheist, a panpsychist, really, because what he did is he saw that this divine presence, call it what you want, expresses itself in all creation. And so he felt totally comfortable preaching to animals as well as preaching to people, or singing songs of birds in the air and the sky, brother, sun, sister, moon, all of this. In fact, yesterday was the feast of Feast of St. Francis, and we have a tradition in our household. It's not just us, but there's lots of people. We go to the Mission San Luis Rey because all the Franciscan monasteries or Franciscan communities, the friars come out and they bless the animals, which is always kind of fun. And this one Rollo story, he was a perfect gentleman. We were almost wondering if we had a changeling with us because he was like just so cool. All these other dogs were around and he was just being in it. But it starts with this idea, no one walks alone. Each and every one of us is on our own separate path. But, here's one of those interesting kinds of things, that even though we are all on a path, we're all in this experience of evolution, of something happening, and that each and every one of us are taking part in it. Again, as Kurt Vonnegut says, we are the mud that gets to get up and look around. Lucky us, lucky mud. But as the universe is awakening, we are the vehicle by which it is awakening. We are the vehicle by which it is becoming conscious. And one of the wonderful gifts that we have been given is to become stewards of this planet, stewards of each other, stewards of this community, stewards of all living things, to know that nothing is left behind. And I thought that too, as I was kind of thinking of this theme for this month, which is Beyond the Veil. And I chose that theme because, of course, we are moving towards the end of the month where we celebrate Day of the Dead. And in many cultures, in many indigenous cultures, this time of year, because as you look out, right, the leaves are changing the trees. You can feel the air, even though it's like going to be really hot today, that you can kind of feel that there's a change. You can kind of feel it in the air. You can kind of feel the light shifting or see the light shifting. So we know the experience of autumn is one where the fullness and the exuberance of summer is giving way to the falling away and the dormancy of winter. And in between, we remember. And we tell stories of that, and we honor that. And in many cultures, it is said that that veil between the two worlds becomes very permeable right now. So it is in our imagination and in our remembering and the stories that we tell that we actually feel much closer. And that kind of brings me to another thing, what is left behind? No one's left behind, except sometimes things are left behind. Sometimes people are left behind. Sometimes someone is forced to walk alone. And that happens, on a physical level as we look at the world today and all the things that are going on and all the devastation. And we certainly see how some are very alone. And we also see how some are left behind. But I think even on broader senses or wider brushes, that becomes true as well. One of my thoughts was, what has been left behind is the Enlightenment. Didn't know I was going there, did you? But, something happened in how we perceived things from the Enlightenment. Now, I think the Enlightenment was a really good thing. I think science is a fabulous thing. I am of course, evolution is the first law of the universe, and what we have been able to create. And whether it be Descartes or Newton, the laws of physics that we've used, the way that we begin of understanding things, it goes all the way back to Galileo, who really is considered the first science. But there was also sort of an error that I'll talk about more and more this month. There was also kind of an error in how he perceived things, because the scientific method of understanding things is really an important thing for us to do, because we want to be able to observe how things work. But we also paid a cost, because the beginning of the Enlightenment was also the beginning of the disenchantment of how we see things and how we perceive things. It's a really interesting thing. If you look at the artwork pre-Enlightenment and post-Enlightenment, or look at poetry or literature, someone like Shakespeare. Shakespeare's got nature spirits and angels and things like that all over the place. Paintings, you see all these things, and then after the Enlightenment, all these things disappear. And the sense, part of our sense of how we understand, how we see, how we perceive things. Because we've convinced ourselves that the perception of science is the absolute way to see everything. But what if it isn't? And what if the cost of that disenchantment is there's a whole part of ourself that is cut off, causing us to walk alone? In the ancient world, there were different philosophies that sort of coexisted with themselves. There were the Gnostics, and the Gnostics sort of believed that the experience of the divine was a personal thing, how one encountered the divine was very personal, and it wasn't determined by a particular religion or tribe or anything like that. You had the philosophers like Plato, who really began to invite us to perceive through the element of curiosity. And you had the Hermeticists. And the Hermeticists saw that there were ways of connecting, and the principle of Hermeticism, of which New Thought has its roots, is this. There is a seen world and an unseen world. There's a material world, and we understand the material world because we can see it, we can perceive it, we can touch it, we can feel it. It's there. And there is the unseen world, the world that we don't see, but we really know it's there. And let me give you an example of that right now. So we're all in this room. You are listening with rapt attention and amazement by me speaking, and when you're not doing that, you're thinking about other things, or you're looking at the room and wondering about whatever the case may be. And that is our objective mind. It looks out. It sees the world and us in relationship to what is out there, what we can observe. It's the objective mind. We're all doing it, right? Right now, you can see me, I see you can see this room. But think for a moment. Have you ever had that experience where you observe yourself observing what you're observing? Do you know what I mean? I mean, there you are reading a book, or listening to a talk, or being with a community, and you are also observing yourself doing that. What is that? We call it mind. We call it consciousness. We call it a sense of knowing. You can't see it, you can't perceive it, but it is there, right there. And what the ancients began to understand is that there are ways of accessing this mind, this intelligence that is there. And what we observe is that it is permeating everything. We can almost say it's like there's one mind, one consciousness that is there. And it's called the subjective. It's inner. It can't be seen, but it can be perceived. And so the ancients began to understand that there are ways that we can work within this. Let me give you an example again, if I may. You know, we would hardly call the quantum universe as we observe it as objectively thinking. But we also can observe, after billions and billions of years, that the universe is learning, that something happens. The very law of evolution is a law of trial and error. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes you go this way and you bump into something and you can no longer go that way, so you go this way. Sometimes different reactions create certain things, and sometimes they work and sometimes they don't work. But that's evolution. Darwin said that evolution is the survival of the fittest, and we have misinterpreted that into a misogynist, mechanical way of looking at things. We think strongest of the fittest means, or survival of the fittest means the strongest, most of service, the badass. But that's not what Darwin was saying. Survival of the fittest is the one who fits in. Survival of the fittest is the capacity to learn and to adapt. And where does that come from? That's part of mind. And so the early Hermeticists began to look and say, there are ways we can tap into this subjective world to kind of create results. Two things that I think are really kind of important about that. One is the healing temples of Acephalus. So the healing temples of Acephalus were in ancient Greece, and what would happen is if you had an infirmity, if you had an illness, you would go there and you would lie on a bed, and sometimes they would give you something to help you relax, some kind of ethnogen. And then as you were moving into that deep, relaxed, open sense where the objective mind isn't trying to catalog everything, but the subjective mind is very receptive, they would whisper to you. They would whisper about your well-being and how your body could heal itself, and how whatever language or allegories they were using of how that was present in this healing process. And by goodness gracious, if people didn't get better. There was also known as the mystery schools, and particularly the school of Aloysius, the Eleusinian mysteries. And the Eleusinian mysteries were a series of rituals that were done that induced the person to go through this death rebirth thing. And what we understand now during this thing, the Eleusinian Mysteries was like the longest theater production in history. It was hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years old. Thousands of people went through it, including Plato, including Aristotle. Thousands of people went through this. And they would be induced into this thing, and probably were using ethnogens. We suspect they were using psilocybin, but we don't know because no one really talked about the experience. Except one thing is for sure, is that everyone who went through this experience no longer feared death. What would that be like, to live your life without that fear, that one thing that is there? And so they induced themselves to tap into the unseen, and tapping into the unseen produced results in the seen. They would be in a subjective state and be guided through a self-healing that objectively appeared with a body that was sound and whole. They would go into a ritual and be induced into a state of going through a certain experience that extended itself at the end with no longer holding fear. Now, it wasn't an objective experience, it was a subjective experience. And there's another way that this is done as well. So, I won't get into all of them because I go all day, but three things that I want to talk about here. One is that in different mystery schools or in different philosophical schools, one of the questions that is always asked, and you read these and all these different things, is how do we pray? And what is prayer? Well, you've heard me quote Emerson as prayer. Prayer is the contemplation of the facts of life from the highest point of view. I think that's a really good answer. But really what prayer is an opportunity to enter into the unseen for experiences in the seen. Now, what we also know is that prayer does not change the mind of God. It doesn't. It changes us. We are changed by the prayers that we pray. So in a sense, what we are doing is creating a new imagination which works like a map. Like Abraham, we are then able to navigate into these unfamiliar areas. And a perfect one that we probably all know was the disciples asked Jesus, well, how do you pray? And he gave them a prayer. We probably all memorized it or learned it. But if you think about it, It is a profound contemplation. It begins with our Father. Well, that's how we learn it in English, but that's not really what it was done in Aramaic, because what it's basically saying is, I am present to that intelligence that loves like a parent loves. Jesus talked about it as Abba. Abba would be a word in Aramaic that would be close to Papa or Daddy or Mama. It's that sense that I am entering into the presence through my mind, through my contemplation, through my imagination, that I'm sitting with this sense of a loving presence, an unrelenting love of presence. Not the parent that we all went to therapy for, but the parent who loves unconditionally. Who exists where? Who exists in the heavens? Who exists everywhere? At the roof of all that there is. Everywhere. And it is kadosh. It is holiness. It's true beingness. It is beyond perception. It is only to be experienced. It can't truly be known, except that it knows, sees us, and loves us. Your kingdom come, your will be done. Again, there's not a dictate of something that is going on, but there's an intelligence just like evolution. There is an arc of awakening, of intelligence that we see. We see this in evolution. We see that the universe itself is becoming more and more aware. And what is the volition? What is this? It's connection. It's love. Pierre Teilhard says that we understand evolution, the active level of evolution is always more congruency, more consciousness, and more connection. It is those things. It's that which unites. That's what becomes aware, and that which has beingness into itself. And then, give us this day our daily bread. It's not a beg. It's an affirmation. It's like a child. Give to me. Give to me that which is there is mine to live and have. And forgive us our debts. And this is the only caveat in the whole prayer. Forgive us our debts as we forgive those who are indebted to us. There's a lot of New Thought stuff that's kind of like bedtime stories. But one of the things experientially that I know to be true, I will promise you this one, because I have learned it and done it and manifested it, and then forgot it, did it again, and learned it again. And by God, if it doesn't work, it is this: if you are in debt, find out who you need to forgive. If you are in debt, there is someone or something you have not forgiven. I know, counterintuitive. Trust me on this one. Bondage is bondage. And because it begins in consciousness and manifests itself in the material world. It begins in the unseen world and then manifests itself in the seen world. If there is bondage in consciousness, then it must correspond to something happening on the material world. If you are in debt, who do you need to forgive? Yeah, and lead us not. And lead us not astray. Lead us not to be falling into things. So, what that is it's an opportunity to create an imagination. That there is a loving presence that desires my good, that I live in an intelligence universe that is evolving towards a certain part, and that I want to be part of the awakening of all that is, and that there is sufficiency for me to have what is important for me to have to live fully. And the way out of bondage is forgiveness. It's a simple prayer. Now, in New Thought, we take that idea of imaginative prayer And we put it into something called a spiritual mind treatment, or what we call an affirmative prayer. And it kind of follows the same pattern. We begin in a contemplation that there is a presence, a beingness, an intelligence that is the source of all that there is. And because it's the source of all that there is, we are part of that. We are part of this great mystical experience of beingness itself that is living itself through us, as us, inviting us and luring us into a greater experience. And so I recognize that there's this presence out there, and I also recognize that I'm part of that presence, part of that beingness. And of course, just like every spiritual avatar and teacher has told us, that if this beingness is love, that it desires our good. Nothing and no one is out to get you. Nothing and no one is out to get you. The universe does not hold a grudge. And so as I affirm my good, then what do? I move to a place of gratefulness, thanksgiving. Because when we are grateful, we are expansive. When we are grateful, we are open. When we are grateful, we are curious. And so in that, we just allow ourselves to be in that receptive place of gratitude. And then we don't try to manipulate it. We begin to, we pick up our mat and we walk. We walk and we travel and we allow it to happen. One of the great New Thought teachers, Neville Goddard, picked up on this, and you've heard me talk about him before, because I think Neville Goddard is probably the closest person that we have that takes the ideas of New Thought and was able to incorporate them into the ideas of quantum physics. And that is this, is we create an imagination on our subjective mind, and we hold it, and we experience it, and we let ourselves be fully immersed, so that our subjective mind is totally immersed into the image that we are creating, and we project it. And the subjective mind builds a bridge. You've done this before. All of you have done it, I'm sure, where there's something that you've been pondering, and then all of a sudden you start seeing it everywhere. Right? It's not that it's there. It's that we've changed us to see it. And so my invitation then today, or this month then, is for us to consider this, that we live in two worlds, the seen world and the unseen world. And that you and I live in both of them. Everything lives in both of them. There's the world of spirit, and there's the world of matter. The world of the objective and the subjective. And that there are tools that we can develop so that we can live in those two worlds. In fact, we can bridge the gap so that the world of appearances is two, but reality, there's only one. St. John says this, do not be deceived by the appearance of things. Just because things look the way they are doesn't mean that's the way they really are. That's just how we see them to be. And when we change our perception, the external world changes or conforms to it. We see a path where there had not been a path. By the way, all this is like try this at home kind of stuff. So let's just take that moment to breathe in then. There's one life, there's one presence, there's one beingness. It is the source of all, and nothing is separate from it, and nothing is separate from us. It is the life that is living each and every one of us. It is a life that is grounded into the unrelenting love, almost like a parent that desires our good. And so we hold an image of our good. We create a space in our own consciousness. We create a space in the unseen of that which we wish to see, knowing that we are impressing upon this consciousness because we're impressing it upon our own mind and beingness. And how grateful I am, how grateful we are for this thing called life, for this experience. to be the mud that gets to get up and look around. Lucky us, lucky mud. And so we let it be. It's done. So it is.
If it's magic, then why can't we make it everlasting? Like the sun that always shines, like the poet's endless rhyme, like the galaxies in time. If it's pleasing, then why can't we make it never leaving? Like on seashores there are shells, like the day that never fails, like the time that always tells. It holds the key to every heart throughout the universe. It fills you up without a bite and quenches every thirst. So, if it's special, then with it, why aren't we as careful? Making sure we dress in style, posing pictures with a smile, keeping danger from a child. It holds the key to every heart throughout the universe. It fills you up without a bite and quenches every thirst. So, if it's magic, why can't we make it everlasting? Like the lifetime of the sun, we will leave no heart undone. There's enough for everyone. Oh, really?
Yeah, imagine that.
Thank you, Mr. James Higgins. Thank you. Heavenly, heavenly. All right, so finally, why the sunglasses? I don't know if anybody's known or had it themselves, cataract surgery. So, the doctor said I would need reading glasses. Well, he didn't tell me the surgery meant I was getting a new lens on already perfect eyesight behind the cloud, behind the blurriness. So now I have X-ray vision in my one eye. So I have a few more days of healing and I'm good to go. Another thing that was interesting is the doctor said this is a miracle. And even though the surgery only took less than 10 minutes, and they didn't put me to sleep, I was watching the whole thing through the back of my eye. I know, weird, huh? Didn't tell me that either. But what he did say, it's a miracle. And that's what it felt like. I felt like a whole new person. Kind of an android with this bionic eye. So probably the other one, because now it makes the one that I thought was perfect not so perfect. All right. So what got me through it, because I know a lot of people ask for prayer for surgery like that because they're messing with something so delicate, is the tools that I've learned from the Hilltop Center, from science of mind, philosophy, from years of affirmations, prayers, and surrounding myself with loving people like yourselves. That's what got me through. I went through it with a positive attitude, no problem. It helped when he told me he had 21 years of doing it every day. But yeah, it's a miracle that we can do that sort of thing. So, also, when we give, our givingness is a miracle because it pays forward and it creates new things. Just think how many miles, how many years $1 has traveled throughout the universe, in mind and in physical. That dollar's traveled everywhere. They should make a movie out of that. like the traveling pants. So, as we give, we always receive. So let's take that beautiful love on paper called money, time, talent, treasure. And let's take a deep breath, knowing that the essence of this givingness is through our hearts, helping our community grow. Our meaning yours, mine, our community. And as we grow and thrive, we learn and continue learning those tools that help us through life, that keep us positive, that give us that good life. And so I release this prayer into the universal mind, knowing everything is good, everything is well, everything is love. Together we say, and so it is.
So again, thank you all for being here. Hold on a second. So thank you all for being here today. And I want to thank James. Thank you for being here. It's always a pleasure to have you here.
My pleasure. Thank
Always
you.
look forward to having you come back again. And Jeff for sitting in there doing sound and making it all sound good. And Lee and everyone and all that there. And thank you all for being here. And again, two things. One is the class is coming up, so sign up for that. And the other thing is if your heart has been touched in any way, please do not leave without prayer. And there's 3 different ways you can do that. You can fill out a prayer request, and the practitioners pray during the week on those requests. You can see one of the practitioners here today. Paul's here, Laura's here, Andrea's here, and ask them for prayer, and they'll be more than happy to pray with you. And I'm getting that. That's the third one. And she's chomping at the bit. Laura will also be leading a prayer circle about 10 minutes after service in the Emerson room. So there's that. If this is your first time, I'd love to get a chance to meet you today and say hello to you. And that's that. So thank you all. Let's pray. And James will sing again for us. I'm so happy about that. So just again, recognizing that there is one life that lives itself in all of us. And I've been the prayer that I've been holding is the Navajo prayer. So, beauty stands before us. Beauty stands behind us. Beauty is to our left. Beauty is to our right. Beauty is above us. Beauty is below us. We are on the pollen path. And may each of us today have experiences of amazement and wonder and awe. May we be curious, not judgmental. And may we move forward with love and joy, recognizing that no one walks alone and no one's left behind. And so it is.
Well, if you know this one and you feel like singing along, go right ahead. Think of your fellow man, lend us helping hand, put a little love in your heart, yeah. You see it's getting late, oh, don't hesitate, put a little love in your heart, yeah. And the world will be a better place, and the world will be a better place for you and me. Just you wait and see, yeah. Another day goes by, still the children cry. Put a little love in your heart, yeah. I don't want to hesitate, you see it's getting late. Put a little love in your heart, yeah. And the world will be a better place. And the world will be a better place for you and me. Just you wait and see. Down, yeah. Put a little love in your heart, yeah. Please don't you hesitate. I want you to wait. Put a little love in your heart, yeah. And the world will be a better place. And the world will be a better place for you. Just you wait and see, yeah. Put a little love in your heart every day and every way. Put a little love in your heart. Come on and put a little love. Put a little love in your heart. Don't you wait, don't hesitate. Put a little love in your heart. I know you can sing it with me. Put a little love in your heart. Sing it with me today. Put a little love in your heart. That's the way, yeah, yeah. Thank you.